be just as joyful and gleeful when you let somebody go as when you hired them. You're allowing them to be free. You are letting them go be excited and happy at someplace else. You are releasing them to go find a better home. Hello, everybody. How are we doing on this beautiful day? It is raining here and it is awesome. San Diego's a desert, so every time we get any water, it's amazing. So very excited about that one. Holy moly, so much has happened. If you were one of my regulars, I'm sorry that we missed last week's podcast. So much going on. I couldn't even pull myself away for 10 minutes. It's been a lot. A lot of managerial changes over here at Square Coil, all for the positive. We got different programmers coming on, new ideas, new thought processes, like so much change and all for the positive. So nothing but great things. I am going to, this is one of the few podcasts where I have zero agenda. I have no plan, no talk. I'm just going to talk to you about something that I had happen to me this morning, and I'm just going to kind of think it through, and you're going to hear some of my thought process, and I might swag and sway all over the place as we talk, but I'm going to have a little bit of diarrhea of the mouth on this one because it's such a fun thing that happened to me this morning. Get up at 5 a.m. I'm in the gym. 6 a.m. taking a shower. 7 a.m. I'm feeding the kids breakfast and getting ready to go. We walk out the door at 7:30. And about 7:05, I get a call from a good friend of mine, Dr. John. And he's such a good friend, and he's a good friend that I never hang out with. I don't know if you have these friends, but every time you meet them, every time you run into them, every time you talk to them, they have such a wealth of knowledge, and something that comes out of your mouth, they understand, and they can retort and get back to you. You can go really deep into the weeds on any subject, and they're going to talk just as intelligently about that. Those are the good people. Those are so much fun. And he's in a different walk of life right now. He's I don't know, 15, 20 years older than I am. He's got a house in Rancho Santa Fe. He's got a house in Hawaii. And he travels based on the surfs and the tides. And it's a beautiful life. Let's not lie. He's got a great life. But he is very an intelligent individual. And he knows what it's like to be a creator. And I'm very open, very honest. I stamp myself as a creator. I create things. I love to create things and solve problems and figure out a great system and put in place so the problem doesn't keep reappearing its ugly head every single time. I love to create. But with creating comes everything else, the flip side of the coin. And the flip side of the coin is HR and employees and mortgages and all this other stuff that goes with owning a business. But it's so much fun to create that you take the good with the bad. So John calls me up this morning and goes, "Hey, I'm touching base." Now, I haven't talked to this guy in like 7-8 months. Don't ask me why I don't pick up the phone more. Don't ask me why he doesn't pick up the phone more. It's just one of those things. We don't swing in the same circles as he does. We don't, visit the same areas. We don't eat the same restaurants. We're not in the same little circles. We don't run into each other. But when we do, oh man, the conversations are great. And they're so good. So he hits me right between the eyes. He goes, "All right, where are you at? Still got the wife, still got the kids, still got the family?" I was like, yes. And he goes, "Okay, good." And he goes, "I'm still married. We're still in good shape there." I said, "Yep." And he goes, No big skeletons then since I talked to you last." And I love that. Right off the bat, just let's get down to the brass tacks. What's this? What's that? Major changes in your life? Yes, no. And we both went, no. And he goes, "All right, cool." He goes, "All right, what are your companies doing? They up? They growing? They're down? They're stagnant? What's the gig?" Again, right between the eyes, ask me these direct questions. I love it. We don't have to beat around the bush. We can just talk about it. Just want to take a moment to talk about Square Coil here. Square Coil has been powering the signage industry since 2011, and we're only growing bigger and better and stronger every single day. Some of the latest updates have just made my life a lot easier. I'm sure it's going to make your life a lot easier. So if you haven't checked us out, go ahead and get on our website, squarecoil.com. Take a look. And if you have an outdated key, an old software program that's going to be closing its doors this year, definitely take a look at us because we can make that transition real simple for you. Take a look at squarecoil.com. And before I continue this podcast, I want to say something this. Do you have those people that you get to talk to that nothing's taboo? Everything's on the table. We're going to talk about it. And you never have to worry about being judged. You never have to worry about what they think or what's happening. Isn't that nice? Isn't that amazing when you can just have a very open conversation with that and you're never going to get judged? I love it. I absolutely love it. And so he hits me right between the eyes. He goes, "All right, where are the companies?" And I said, "Both are growing. Both are growing like a weed." I told him, I said, "I'm trying to find my butt with both hands and I'm still having a problem." And he starts laughing. It was par for the course for you, and yep, no, I get it. He goes, "So is that driving towards the right line?" Now I know what he meant, but there's 1,000 different variations of what he meant for that. And what he meant was, what is the path that you're on? And are you striving towards that path? Or are you starting to listen to the noise and take you off path? And so I said, well, there's always a little bit of noise. Let's not lie. It's always kind of a little bit of frustrating. But for the most part, we are on path for what we want to do. I talked about we were selling the sign company. We were in escrow twice. Both fell out because I didn't like the terms of the deal. And then we said, forget it. We're going to grow the sign company to the behemoth that I wanted to be. So we bought a building with a sign company. We're still going through that. We're still in permits. And then I told them about the software company and how these upgrades are massive and they're game changers for our software and for our clients and what they're going to do with them. But they take a lot of time, a lot of energy, a lot of plug-in. And so it's very difficult. And he goes, all right, good, good. And he tells me about his veterinarian hospitals and then the latest one he built and what he's going on with that. And he got somebody to run that particular hospital, where he's going with that and where his choices are. And then he comes back and he goes, when's the last time you put effort into your wife? And I just love this guy. He's hitting all the main points. And he goes, how much energy you're putting in your wife? And him and I both know, and this is what I'm going to tell you guys, whatever you put your time and effort into, it's going to grow. It's going to nourish. It's going to be better. Where you put your focus, where you put your time, it's going to be better. And we always have a choice. We have a choice all the time. Where are we going to spend our time and spend our efforts? Are we going to spend them on ourselves, on Instagram, just chilling, just unwinding? Are we going to spend our time with our loved ones, helping them, growing them, whether they're kids, your wife, whatnot? Are we going to spend time with the business? Are we going to spend time with our friends and kind of learn what else is going on in the world and expand our horizons and network a little bit? Where are you going to spend your time? And I love that question so much because the things that are going right for you and the things that are doing well, you don't spend a lot of time on those. You're kind of like the plate spinner, right, in the circus. And the plate that's about to fall off the stick, you're going to go spin that one again. The plate that's about to fall off over here, you're going to go spin that one over here. And you're so trying to keep everything up at status quo of your level, you forget about the things that are going on around you that have made you who you are, your backbone, who you are, what's happening. These are very important things that you got to stop and take stock in. And that would be your significant other. That would be your business partners. That would be the people in your company that are making it happen day in and day out. You have to stop and look at them and say, thank you. You have to appreciate them. You have to show your appreciation. They are helping you get through it. Just because they're not the squeaky wheel doesn't mean that they don't need a little bit of love. So I absolutely loved where he went with that right away and said there. And I told him, I said, honestly, my wife did not get a lot of love for 3 months. I'm going to say July, August, September. And I finally woke up in October and said, whoa, 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 whoa. I need to water this beautiful flower here or it's going to dry up and go away. And that's not a good thing. And so we did a lot more dating in October. We went jewelry shopping, got her a couple necklaces and, did the things I'm supposed to do as a husband and dote on her. And then it got really funny. He goes, all right, now I got to ask you a question. I said, what do you got? And he goes, are you woefully happy? Are you gleefully happy? Like just side-splitting happy? And I said, at moments. Not all the time, at moments. He goes, okay, why aren't you gleefully happy all the time? And I said, well, there's running a business. You got your employee problems. Some people aren't cutting it. You got to let them go. Sometimes there's a lawsuit that comes up. You got to deal with the lawsuit. There's always something that happens that, kind of drags you down. And he says, why is that a bad thing? And I said, well, I have the people that work with me. And, I take a lot of pride in the fact that I can open up a position for somebody and they can excel and they can find purpose in their life and they can help grow something bigger than themselves and be a part of my big vision. I take a lot of pride in that. And he says, okay. And I said, I always feel bad when I got to let somebody go because they're not cutting it. They're not listening to the what I'm telling you. And so therefore, they can't fit in the organization. And he goes, why is that a bad thing? I said, well, I'm letting somebody go. They don't have a paycheck anymore. I feel bad. And he goes, okay. He goes, well, what I want you to do is I want you to focus on this. He goes, I want you to set down the pride of you growing a business. He goes, at the end of the day, that's only building you up. He goes, set aside that pride. That's really not that important. And that's kind of a hard pill to swallow. Let's not lie. Come on. You have pride in what you do and what you build. And sometimes it does go under the old chip on the shoulder and the ego, and that's part of who you are. And he says, Ed, get rid of that. And he goes, and be happy. Be just as joyful and gleeful when you let somebody go as when you hired them. And I said, okay, now you got me at a loss. Why? And he said, because you're allowing them to be free. You're letting them go. You're letting them go be excited and happy at someplace else. And when they get hired at someplace else, they're going to be excited and they're going to be happy and they're going to be a better fit than they were for you. You are releasing them to go find a better home. He goes, it's a good thing. It's a happy thing. And I said, okay. I said, so what you're trying to tell me is for every coin that we have, there's a good side and a bad side. I now own a business. That's the happy side of the coin. I'm very excited. I own my own business and we're growing this at the pace and the scale that I want to. And on the flip side is the bad parts, the HR, the terminations, the payroll and all that stuff that's kind of a headache. But you can't have the good side without the bad. Is that what you're saying? He goes, kind of. He goes, kind of. He goes, why is it a bad side? It is an opportunity that you get. It is an experience that you get that other people won't because they chose not to have a business. They chose not to be an owner. You get that experience that very rare are the people that you do. He goes, you being a creator. He goes, you need to create at all times. He goes, let me say it to you a different way. And at this point in time, I'm smiling, right? I'm supposed to be the kids are already eating breakfast. They're running around the house having whatnot. Normally, I just sit there and kind of look at a couple of emails and do work, and I never think about the big picture. So this was such a fun conversation for me this morning. And he goes, all right, let me try and box it or brand it in a different way. He goes, when you go to let somebody go, does it eat at you for the night before? I said, oh, absolutely it does. And he goes, so you are now the victim. And I said, okay, I'm listening again. And he goes, people are victims, He goes, you are not a victim. He goes, people are victims. Oh, woe me the bills. Oh, woe me the car doesn't work. Oh, woe me. Then they're just victims, victim. And he goes, and they walk around as victims. He goes, you are not a victim. Because I've met you, I've known you. He goes, you will never be the victim. You will find a new way. You will get out of the victim path and you will find a way to get it done. And he goes, and that's why you will always be successful. He goes, but even in that moment when you're going to let that person go and you feel bad for them, you are playing the victim. He goes, you are being the victim because woe is me. I got to let them go. I got to give them bad news. He goes, it's not bad news. They're not fitting in. They're not getting it. You don't like where they're going. They don't like where they're going, whether you can see that or not. He goes, they're going to be better off in a different environment. He goes, it's a good thing. It's always a good thing. Everything is a good thing. There's a reason for it, a purpose, why it goes. And I smiled a lot. I'm not going to lie. It did my heart good to hear this vision, this viewpoint of everything that we do in life is good. It is a fun thing. We as a society sometimes frown upon it. We've given it a bad moniker. The word manipulation. Why'd you manipulate me? No, manipulation means I made you look at it from a different viewpoint. That's all it means. It's not a bad word, but yet our society made it a bad word. Everything can be good if you look at it. There's a positive to it. And with the positivity, just like we all know, when we're really happy, where are we at? We're at peace. Our stomach unhinges. Our stress goes away. It's a lot healthier for us. Yeah, we're still doing all the making tough decisions. We're making decisions that could be good or bad or affect our bottom line or our pocketbook. But at the same day, we're making them for the right reasons. You can't make all bad choices. You're going to make mostly good ones if you keep making the choices. So that's what happened to me this morning. I love it so much. I want to share it with you guys. It was just really cool to sit back and look at what's around us and what's happening. And there's always a good spin for it. And the more you put a good spin for it, the more your stomach's going to be unclenched. The more you're going to walk a little higher. You're not going to have the weight of the world on your shoulders. And in turn, you'll be a happier person. And when you have your exams, your doctor will notice it because you'll be healthier in general. So I'm not saying stop and smell the roses, but I am saying enjoy the moment that you're in because some people don't get to experience it.